came to me as a beginner, about 16 years old she was. So I'm more traditional, I'd say, and Susie is wonderfully innovative.
One day I just put up the camera and I think I was filming something like an asparagus recipe. After, I think I must have had about 30 responses saying, who's this woman? And something just clicked in my mind and I was like, I think this could be a thing.
I will have vodka shots with my caviar.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgia Simmons, host of the podcast. This podcast is about all things food, health and wellness, and in my kitchen this week, I am joined by the dynamic duo, Janie and Susie. Guys, if you know Janie and Susie, you will understand why I was very, very excited to have them join me in my kitchen today. We just had a big old catch up about all things food. How Janie and Susie came together, how the Instagram was started, their relationship, their kitchen staples, life behind the scenes of the camera. Honestly, they're just fabulous. There's nothing else to say. I'm going to let them do all the talking. Honestly, these two were an absolute joy to speak with today. You're going to love it. If you love food, if you know Janie and Susie, if you watch their content, you better be excited for this because it's great. As always, guys, thank you for continuous support on the podcast. It's always really, really appreciated. We have been going for 3 years, and honestly, just a big thank you to all of you for supporting me throughout these 3 years, and we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you could please keep liking, following, give us a subscribe, all of that good stuff, it would mean the world. Now let's go and meet Janie and Susie in the kitchen. Janie and Susie, welcome to the kitchen. How are you?
Well, it's lovely to see you and thank you so much for having us.
I'm very excited about this. It's so nice to have you here.
Too.
Oh, we're good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Do you mind kind of explaining who Janie and Susie are to kick things off? A little elevator pitch.
I think over to you for this
Over
one.
to me. Well, Susie came to me as a beginner, about 16 years old she was, and I got a call one day from her mother. I was running a little kitchen, as I still do actually, but it was at the very beginning. And I got this call to say, can my daughter's leaving school, can she come and help in your kitchen? So I said, absolutely fine, love to meet her first. So one sunny day, there I was sitting at my desk and I didn't actually come out to get you. I think someone brought you in.
Did I get dropped off?
You must have done. I don't think you were
parking.
driving. Anyway, she arrives next to my desk, sitting there, and I look, and there's this smiley, tall, blonde, blue-eyed, gorgeous-looking girl. And I just thought, wow, you're pretty special. And also, she was head girl of her school.
So I love a head girl.
So it was a done deal pretty fast, I have to be honest.
Oh, I love that.
So then she started. I don't know how long it took.
I think you had your hair rollers in.
Well, possibly, yeah. I did
I
walk
remember
around
you were
with hair
sitting at your
rollers a
desk,
bit.
you had big glasses and your hair rollers in.
I love
thought,
that.
okay, and it was good. It was good
probably
vibes straight away.
You thought I was dead cool. And over to you, because I don't know, you seem to remember what your first little job in the kitchen was.
I do remember she got me in and I think you were prepping. She taught me her first thing, Janie, which was like she's famous for her canapé bases. And you taught me about a high oven and how to cut little rounds out of any leftover bread and turn them into canapé bases. So we did that. And then you asked me to prep some cucumber for a hoisin duck wrap or something, and you told me that I had to de-seed it, and of course I didn't de-seed it and I got all the water. Do you remember through this?
No, but I know what happens if you don't de-seed.
And I thought
it takes on so much water.
Yeah, after that I was like, I'm not
and
going
your pancakes are dum.
Oh my God, I love
And
that.
wasn't there a mango yogurt or something?
Yeah, and then
I sort of gave you a guideline how to make a mango spicy yogurt for a savoury canapé.
I think.
And she did it so well, such a wow factor. I thought, wow, this girl's got a pretty good palate on her.
I think after about a week we figured out that I could taste food kind of well, and she gave me a bit of responsibility, which was so nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think to be able to do canapes, I think it's actually an art. I think canapes is probably one of the hardest thing to do. I don't know. I think I love being in the kitchen, but I do think that canapes, like, they've got to be so flavourful in one little mouthful. So I do think they are a bit of an art to that.
That's my big thing, canapes. That's where I really, I would say, not excel, that's a bit boasty, but
no, it's true.
I do get a lot of people coming back for my canapes, because I actually adore making them look really,
It's an art form, really.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love that.
And I'm not patient, naturally. I wasn't given that card at all when I was born, but for some reason, I really enjoy doing canapes. And you have to have a bit of patience for that.
You do.
Yeah.
So, To kick things off, we have a quick fire round about all things food. So, what would you say your favourite restaurant in London is?
Oh, I know what yours is. I think I know what yours is.
Well, I mean, I don't come like I used to live in London,
Okay.
no longer. Mm-hmm. But when I come up, I love going to a very old-fashioned French restaurant called Le Colombier.
Okay, I haven't heard of this one.
But what I'm dying to go to now is a restaurant called Dorian in Notting Hill,
Yes.
because the chef there is a relation.
Oh.
So, but I haven't been yet, so that's on my list.
I've
And
heard
hopefully
good
I
things.
then will be able to tell you that that is my favourite restaurant in London.
I've heard amazing things, but I also haven't been.
Yeah.
It's meant to be
We've got to
really
go,
good.
haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slide into
I've got to
DMs,
chat up the chef.
Mine are 100% Matsy and Susie Trost. So have you used
Yes,
them?
that's also Notting Hill, aren't
Yeah,
they?
love them. Sister restaurants based in Notting Hill, and they're lovely. They're Greek, but it's like sort of farm to table type vibe, and it's delicious. Really
Haven't
hits the
been, was
spot.
on my list.
Yeah, I really recommend it, and great cocktails too.
Okay, right, I need to do that. What is your go-to Deliveroo or takeaway? Or do you get takeaways?
I don't do takeaways.
I don't really
Used
do
to,
takeaways.
and that would have probably been a Chinese.
Okay.
Loads of it.
Love it. Quite good leftovers, I think.
And lots.
Yeah,
Because
nice.
always greedier. The eyes are always greedier.
Yeah,
than
always.
Chinese.
Nando's.
Yeah, I get that. That's people, yeah.
I find that like takeaways make you feel so gross. Anyway, I love them. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you want something like relatively alright, I love a corn on the cob from Nando's.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
it does the job.
Okay, what is your hangover meal?
Mine would be something with toast and lots of butter.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Eggy, probably.
Yeah, an egg always helps.
Yeah.
I've actually heard if you have an egg before you drink, you're less likely to feel worse the next day.
Really?
I've heard that.
It's a bit like the eggnog. Well, isn't there a drink that they give you? What's it called?
A whiskey
Isn't it?
sour when they put
No,
the egg white in.
there's a hangover cure drink. Oh, remember it in a minute.
Bloody
And
Mary.
there's a raw egg in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely something to do
call
with
it
egg
prairie
and
oyster or
drinking.
Sounds rank.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
it might be called
sure.
a prairie oyster.
I have never
Let's look
heard
it
of
up.
that. Okay, we'll look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your favourite coffee shop?
I like Flying Horse, which is near me on the Golborne Road.
Yeah.
I've spent quite a lot of money there, so that's mine.
I don't do coffee shops because I live out of London, but
Yeah.
just now I've just been to the Black Sheep, but that was pretty good news.
Yeah, Black Sheep, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah, I agree.
Good high marks.
Okay, which food for you is a complete no-no?
Oh gosh, that's a very difficult one. What's a no-no?
Like, don't like
Probably
it.
tripe.
Oh,
Yeah, that's an old-fashioned dish, tripe. Because otherwise, I don't like most foods. Actually, there's very
what is
little I don't
tripe?
like.
I don't think I
Tripe's
know.
a stomach of a cow.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, understand that.
And it's white and it's floppy. And
Oh, yeah, not selling
it's
it.
got a
That's
very
gross.
bad reputation. But that's
Yeah.
what came to mind immediately because actually I love everything.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, tripe doesn't sound great. Susie?
I hate things that wobble. So like
Lemon?
jelly, what is it called? Like any sort of creme brulee type thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like raw
So you don't do a
boiled
sort of
eggs.
panna cotta?
Oh, absolutely not. No, if it wobbles, like yeah.
Kind of get that.
Oh.
Also, a bit of
It's
a
just like
texture
slides
thing.
Yeah, no, I don't like wobbly things.
Yeah.
I like a crunch.
Okay, so we heard about how you guys kind of met, but how did this kind of like dynamic duo, Janie and Susie, kind of come together officially on Instagram? How did this come about?
It's quite simple, really, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we always got on well. We were mates.
Yeah.
And over the years, my parents told me, go and get a proper job. And I always came back. I remember every
dipped
weekend
in and
with you,
out.
dipping in and out, and always
Yeah.
had the best time. But I was like, this is like a side hustle type thing. And then there was a point where I had started my own private catering, and Janie was still going. And I was kind of at home a bit, and as a result, she let me use her kitchen rent free, and I would help her out with some of her jobs and walk the dogs. And then one day I just put up the camera and I think I was filming something like an asparagus recipe. And she came in and she goes, oh, hi, on the camera. And that was on my personal Instagram. And then after, I think I must have had about 30 responses saying, who's this woman? And something just clicked in my mind. And I was like, I think this could be a thing. And then Janie and Susie was born like the day after.
I love it. This episode is brought to you by Wild Market, the online farmers market where farmers, fishermen, growers, pickers all come together to share the products and produce that they have grown and made. It really is the magic of a farmer's market from the comfort of your home wherever you are in the country. If you want to know more about Wild and their journey, Ella, the co-founder, came on Catch Ups in My Kitchen in episode 116. So check that out to hear more. As you guys know, I have been reintroducing a few animal products into my diet after being plant-based for about 6 years. But what's really important to me on my journey is where I get my animal products from. And Wild has been a huge part of that journey for me. For example, I can get fish from Cornwall 2 days after it has been caught, and it really does not get much fresher than that. Wild Market opens on a Friday and closes on a Wednesday, and then it's all delivered to your door in one convenient box on a Friday. So whether you are looking for dairy, meat, fish, pasta, Wild Market has you covered. Go to www.wild.market/mykitchen for £15 off your order. That is Wild spelt WYLDE. Then it is .market/mykitchen. I'll add all the details in the show notes. Thank you so much, Wild, for providing a service I'm absolutely obsessed with. Guys, if there's one thing you do this year, you've really got to place an order with Wild. Now let's get back to the episode. I mean, it is great. I think the dynamic is so nice and it's just so refreshing. So when you touch on catering, is that your background? Is catering being your main kind of career?
No, I was always a PA
in
television and advertising, but happened to live. A lot of my time I was living with people who loved catering and were catering and doing things like city lunches. They used to, in the old days, you have city lunches and things. So when I was in between jobs, I would help the city lunches because I've always been a foodie. I've always loved cooking. I come from sort of quite a foodie background. And then I had a daughter. Then I stopped work for a while. And then when I sort of wanted to go back into the workplace, I thought, well, I love catering. Let's sort of help out through my contacts in catering, which I did, which then led me to working in a catering company for about 8 years as a PA, sort of, and sous chef down in the kitchen. And in the afternoons I go down and help the chefs, which is where I learnt masses and masses. And I just watched them and copied them, and also I wouldn't say I was complete natural, but it came very easily. Mm-hmm. And it went from there.
Okay.
And I sort of started doing my own little events on the back of working in this catering company, and that's how it started building up.
Amazing. And Susie, for you, has it always been catering?
Food's always been in my life. I remember making endless biscuit cakes when I was younger and my dad giving me constructive criticism. And then I left uni and I went and I got a job in influencer marketing, and I liked that kind of interaction with people and that sort of type of thing. And then lockdown hit. And at uni I was kind of selling lunchboxes to friends, like Middle Eastern style, and I loved the way that food brings people together, and also just love to eat as well. And then lockdown hit, and I was getting paid to do a job, that my old bosses, but there was nothing to do, and so I kind of wiggle my mouse every once in a while and be online, and then just go and crack on in the kitchen and make some videos, and suddenly managed to just grow a bit of an Instagram following. And then, and then I recipe developed for Mindful Chef for a bit.
Amazing.
So I did that. And then eventually I quit with no job to go to and kind of was like, right, I might actually, if she can do it, why don't I give this a go?
Yeah.
And through imposter syndrome, something has happened and now people pay me to make them food.
I mean, I love that. I love what you said about how food brings people together. It's so true. This is kind of why I started the podcast, because food is so much more than fuel. Those people, I think you are two people in life. You either live to eat or eat to live.
Yeah.
And I definitely live to eat. I mean, food is so much more than fuel, and it does really bring people together. But does ever working in food or working on the catering side take the joy out of it? Because sometimes I look at the kind of catering side of food and the hospitality side, and I'm like, wow, I mean, that is a real operation. So does it ever kind of take that love away?
The stress side does, because you're doing something that someone wants to be perfect, especially if it's a wedding. I mean, it's the most important day of their life, at that stage of their life. So to get it wrong, and you've got to think about will the staff turn up? Will the hire turn up? The weather, the marquee guy, because that if they're not on site and you've got all that going on, and you've got generators all over the place, they can go wrong. If the marquee guy's not there, so much can go wrong. That's a big event, and smaller events just as important, really. And often you're right. You go to do an event in a house, And you get to the kitchen and you think, oh my God, no, it's just an Arga or something. And I don't know if you know about Argas, but if you lift the lids up and things, the oven goes down and there's no way you can power it up again.
No.
And suddenly you've got all this hot food that needs to be, cranked up in a hot oven. And there's no way to do it. So there's a lot of stress involved. But of course, the other side, when you come out of all that, the joy you get from a lovely letter, email, telephone call, text, is just lovely.
Yeah.
So there's always, I think to everything there's a downside, otherwise you wouldn't really love the upside.
No,
I'm a
very
great believer
true.
in that,
Very,
a treat's not a treat unless you earn it, sort of thing.
Yeah, very true. I love that. What about health in terms of, there's been a lot of food trends. There's been plant-based, there's now kind of carnivore, ancestral. Where do you guys kind of stand in terms of like your personal diet? Obviously you mentioned you kind of like love food, eat everything, but are you more wary about certain things? Do you cut anything out? Where do you kind of stand in terms of, I don't like the word diet, but for this purpose, diet?
I'm probably a bit more traditional than you are when it comes. I love protein, classic protein, if I can call it that. Meat, fish, eggs, cheese. I like something like that in every meal almost. But adore veg. I don't do anything processed really. I mean, I'd be hard pushed to think about what I eat processed, apart from the obvious things that might be on the shelf. If I use a Bella Zoo product, I'm sure there's the odd thing in there that could be called processed. But generally, I go by, everything fresh, good butchers. Yeah, I try and buy the best chickens and best meats, and fish as well, particularly. I think a lot of fish these days, I think it comes frozen and they call it fresh. I'm not sure. There's so much water in fish, unless you spend an absolute fortune on it. I don't know if you find that with fish.
Yeah, no, there is. Anything frozen.
Yeah. But I think they've frozen it sometimes, and you're getting it when you think it's fresh, but I think it's,
a bit dodged.
Yeah, so I'm more traditional, I'd say, and Susie is wonderfully innovative.
Well, I think for me, I mean, in the past, I've definitely struggled with that. When I was younger, with food and all these kind of things, and there was so much pressure. I was growing up in a generation where there was the health trend was really coming in. It was like the deliciously Ella, the cacao, all that kind of stuff. And we were conditioned to think that this was quite normal. And it's taken me time. I think through practice and trial and error and kind of like tuning into your body and also caring, but not kind of detaching yourself a bit too and seeing food exactly as not just something that fuels you, but, a generalized thing. I found an amazing balance, and I love vegetables. I love protein too. I actually love sugar. I have probably a bar of dark chocolate every single day, a big one. And I don't restrict. There's nothing I don't eat. But typically at home, I'm not having pasta like lunch and dinner every day. But if I go out, I love those types of things. So for me, it's kind of 80-20 and every day, rather than having 5 healthy days and binging on the weekend. That just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I have to just, eat what I want.
Yeah, completely. I love that. I do agree. I think that health is trying to be as clean as possible. And I think that's how we used to eat back in the day. I know this whole ancestral diet thing, which has actually gone a bit crazy. Actually, ancestrally, or back in the day, we used to eat kind of clean, what we could get locally, really good quality meat.
Normal milk.
Butter. Yeah. So I do think that is probably health, and health probably is balance. But I'm exactly the same as you, Susie. I think it is quite scary when you think, and when you compare as well, my mum's generation compared to mine, we are conditioned to think that with food problems and having conflict with food and issues with food is now, I don't know any girl my age who hasn't had a negative thought about food, which is quite sad when you think about it. But then to be able to kind of go through that and then now have balance, or you have 80-20. And again, I think, having dark chocolate every single day.
I love it.
I love it as well.
I don't want a cacao ball, I want a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
Well, they say it's good for you, the dark chocolate.
Well, yeah, it's good for you. Yeah. And also, you're not banning it. I think banning it makes you then want it even more, which I just think is crazy. So, on social media, how has kind of growing on social media been? So you both kind of get together, create these amazing videos where your whole personality and relationship kind of come alive. But how has it been kind of what have been some of the moments where like you realise, oh my God, this is getting traction? Like, oh my God, people might see you out and about and you're like, oh my God, this is so weird. Like people watch me in the kitchen all the time. Like how has it been kind of growing online?
Well, I was overwhelmed by it to start with. I couldn't believe it.
100 followers.
Yeah, I got excited over 100 followers. And then I just sort of couldn't get what they saw in us, actually. I mean, we're sort of larking around and what's the interest? But I think it's probably the generational thing. And I think also it might be because we're pretty natural at it. Mm-hmm. You know, I am quite self-conscious a lot of the time. But when I'm in the kitchen with you, I just sort of get on with it. Mm. And that helps to make me relaxed in front of the camera. Because, you know, if you think about it, there are so many quite sort of, how would I describe it? Fake is the only word I can think of. A lot of it looks fake, doesn't it? You look at the perfection. Mm. And I don't think that's a great thing. No. To think everybody's life is perfect all the time, because we know it's not. Mm. And I don't think our life looks particularly perfect all the time, does it?
No, I think, you know, over the years I've really battled with social media and all that kind of stuff because it feels so curated, and I had friends giving me advice saying, you know, you should do this and that, and I thought, oh my God, what an effort. And suddenly this thing just worked where like it is so slapdash. We literally shove up the phone and it falls down every 5 minutes.
I mean, it's a bit like that comment we had, because I had a scarf on and a puffer. Mm-hmm. And because we're in the country, kitchen's in the country, right? We're in and out the back door quite a lot, picking some herbs or letting the dogs in and out. And sometimes I forget to take a jacket off or a scarf off, and it's midwinter. And, you know, it's that natural. You know, we don't sort of say, right, take this off, and because we're going to be back in front of the camera and I must go and do my hair. Yeah. So we're really natural, aren't we, like that?
I think that's what's so amazing, and I think it's so refreshing. And also, like, I think kitchen is like the hub of a home. Like for me, like the kitchen is the best room in the house. Oh yeah. And so I think you kind of really kind of harness that with your videos. It's kind of like what actually does happen in the kitchen. It's like when I'm home over Christmas and Mum and I are in the kitchen together, you're gossiping, you're chitting, you're chatting about God knows what, and like like something goes wrong and that's on the floor and let me just take that, and it's just nice and it's normal.
Completely. And the best part for us is like there is this kind of this thing that grounds us, which is the fact that we absolutely love food. So we're distracted by the fact that we're cooking anyway. Yeah. And then it's complemented by the fact that I know Janie very well. So there's sometimes, you know, I can mob you up with a comment, and the way that you react causes some kind of funny video. But yeah, I think the key is in order for this to stay like healthy, my dad always said it's just got to be fun. Yeah. And as soon as you start overthinking it, it doesn't become fun anymore.
Completely. And it becomes
so
work.
Like yeah.
And it started as a fun hobby and it needs to stay like that. I completely 100%. Agree. I always think this about relationships where like my friend might be talking to me about their relationship and I'm like, oh, you guys having fun still? Are you having a laugh? And like, oh no. I'm like, the minute you stop having fun, what's the point?
Life's just too short.
Yeah, completely agree.
I feel really lucky that, I mean, I was even speaking to my granny yesterday, you know, she was deprived of ever having the opportunity to work. You know, she had kids and then that's just what you did. And I was like, God, I feel so lucky that I live in a generation where females in the workplace is really considered, you know, like a balanced thing. And also just to do something that I absolutely love. And I don't think you need to be rich. I think you need to be rich enough, and you'll always do that if you do something you care about.
Completely. Like I was speaking to someone yesterday as well about the fact that some people live for the weekend. I know. Those 2 days, that's all they live for. And we were talking about the phrase like Happy Friday, and I'm like, if I started saying Happy Monday, like it would be like, sorry, no, I'm sad, I'm depressed. Like
we work every day. Probably.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, don't get me wrong, it is a privilege to love what you do. Not everyone has that privilege, and I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. But just to live for the 2 days, no, that's so sad. I just think that's not right, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think my advice to a younger person is, don't look at the financial side of a job.
I couldn't agree more.
Think about what makes you happy, because you'll do it well. You might not make as much money, but happiness
you'll make enough
comes before wealth, for sure. You just want to have enough money to be comfortable.
Yeah.
A good word is comfortable.
Yeah.
But doing what you love makes all the difference to your job. Yeah, you know, and what you're going to deliver.
You don't need to go on holiday as much when you really love what you do every day.
Yeah,
you know?
Completely.
I mean, when I get on holiday, I still want to cook.
Yes. Yes. That's so true. I was actually away over Christmas and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get back and get into the kitchen. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, I'm away and like, it's lovely to taste like different flavours and cuisines and be out. And I love that.
Go to the markets and buy all the produce.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, like, you know, with the bar basket.
Yeah.
So the basket from that part of the countryside or that part of the world goes well with all the veg and the stalls and everything.
Yeah.
And it's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, I suppose, if I'm on holiday and doing quite a lot of cooking, it's quite nice to have someone helping me clear up behind. You know?
Yes,
yeah,
making
yeah.
it a bit more relaxing.
I'm just the one who's creating.
Yeah, that's a dream. I mean,
That's a nice holiday.
That's a lovely holiday.
Yeah.
My mum used to always call me the messy chef. I do all the cooking in my family. My mum is a great cook, but doesn't love it, whereas I really love it. But I'm a tidy person, but when I'm cooking, I get distracted, and then things just kind of like get left.
I think I'm probably slightly tidier than Susie in the kitchen.
Yeah, I can definitely second that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the kitchen. Let's talk about some kitchen staples. What would you say are some of your like kitchen staples, and then some of your kind of food staples?
You mean kitchen staples like equipment?
Yeah, let's start with equipment, and then we'll go to food.
I think a wooden spoon.
Yeah,
important.
Wooden, not plastic.
Not plastic.
Yeah.
Although these days you can get the spatula type wooden spoons.
I'm a spatula girl. Yeah. I love it.
But I come from a wooden spoon generation.
Yeah, I like a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magimix, essential.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, a food processor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, got to have a food processor.
Yeah, that's actually changed my life. It actually has. I know they're expensive, but oh my God, it's changed my life.
Yeah.
Like dressings, herbs, everything.
Yeah.
And a sharp knife.
Sharp knife is actually very underrated.
Not too big, not too long, not too tiny, because then you have the universal one. So
yeah.
That, you know.
Yeah, any brand that you
Well, my nephew who's also a chef actually, gave me a Savanac with a lovely brown. Gave me a Savanac for my birthday one year. That's a pretty special. Okay. But I think I might be sharpening all my knives slightly the wrong way sometimes these days. So I've just been given a new knife sharpener, which I haven't tried yet. But it is so important to have a sharp knife because then you can cut things beautifully.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And a decent chopping board.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add to that?
I'm a spatula girl. I mean, I've even been known to carry one around in my handbag. I love
them.
Oh,
wow.
I just think they can get all the naughty bits that you can't get.
Oh, they're the best bits as well.
So good. Yeah. And what else do I love? Oh, a microplane, like a proper, for lemon. And not the ones the supermarket own brand. I don't know what the brand's called. I'll find the name.
Yeah, I've got one in my drawer. And
the long skinny one.
Yes.
It's microplane.
Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe the brand's microplane. Anyway, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Food-wise,
yes,
I would go butter, olive oil, lemon, garlic, salt.
Yeah.
Is that too many?
No, this is great.
What are my kitchen staples for food-wise? Honey, mango chutney, which I use when I run out of honey, especially in savoury dishes.
You did the other day. It was excellent.
Always have yogurt in my fridge. Yeah. And I always have jars of Bella Zoo. I would say I think Bella Zoo is a bit like wearing a good dress. It's cheating. It might feel a bit expensive, but it's not as expensive as buying all of the lists of spices and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, you can whack it on anything. Time. Yeah. Just chicken thighs, Bella Zoo, and your friends just think you're a genius.
Yeah, okay, good one.
I should know how to spend money.
And then what about if you've got an empty fridge and like something that you'll always you're going to go to the supermarket, what you'll always find in your fridge, not necessarily the staples, but if we go into Susie's fridge or Janie's fridge, what will always be in there? Not necessarily like a cooking staple, but like a...
Okay.
Probably parmesan and things like that. Cheese.
Okay. Cheese.
And some veg. Yeah. Tomatoes, lovely.
Tomatoes and
onions,
cheese.
Very keen on onions.
Yeah.
Raw, I even like them raw.
See, I can do spring onions raw, but red onions don't love me raw.
Have them really, really thin.
Okay, maybe very
thin. And if you put them in vinegar and sugar, pickle them.
Yeah, now that's lovely.
Then they become really, really...
Yeah, that's softer on the tummy, actually. That is softer. Yeah. Susie?
What do you find in your fridge?
Well,
chocolate.
Lint, 70% dark chocolate.
With sea salt.
5 bars, I reckon.
Yeah,
no,
fine.
Not with sea salt.
Oh, I'm on the
70%. The sea salt one actually is 45%. So I learned that a while ago. And now I get the 70 and I add the salt. So
okay. There's a life hack for you.
That's that. And you'll find it in my granny's fridge and my dad's too. So it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
Yorkshire provender soup. I always have a pot. I think it's the most delicious soup. It hasn't got any crap in it, and it's just like a great quick fix.
Yeah.
And a fat bag of spinach.
Spinach is definitely one of my staples. My mum always laughs. She's like, that is just never on my list. And I'm like, it's always on my list.
I'm so anemic, and so I try to have a thing of spinach and I actually have steak like 2 or 3 times a week as well. But that sorts me out. So I eat a bag of steamed spinach, I whack it in the microwave, open up the packet, and that does me every day.
Peas, you're quite good at doing that with peas.
I eat peas with every meal.
Edamame beans.
Yeah.
I think they're great to add into everything. Risotto,
high
pesto
protein,
pasta.
Get them in.
Love it. Yeah, love it. Okay, what are some of your pet hates that you see?
Well, I thought about that because one of my pet hates in a recipe is, the recipe says unsalted butter,
Yeah.
and then 2 lines down it says salt.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I'm just thinking, what's that all about?
Yeah.
Then I think about it deeply, and I suppose it's because salt is bad for you, they say. And they want you to choose yourself how much salt you're going to put in.
Yes, that makes sense.
And perhaps if you use salted butter, there's too much for that person's taste. That, I think, is the reason for it.
Yeah.
I still think it's a bit of a waste of time.
Agree. So you probably go salted butter, no extra salt.
Oh, I never buy unsalted butter, I'm afraid.
Yeah, fine.
I'm afraid.
And I mean, the French do, don't they? They have it in a cafe.
Yeah.
You get croissant and there's unsalted butter. And actually it does taste quite good, but I would probably lean over, get a bit of salt and put salt on it.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. That is a good pet hate. What about in restaurants? Any pet hates in restaurants?
In restaurant, bad service, obviously, sloppy service. But I also hate with the people I'm having lunch or dinner with if they aren't polite to the staff in the restaurant.
Agree.
And it happens so often.
Yeah.
And because of the industry I've been working in the last, say, 20 years, I think it is now, I have learned how important it is to be nice to staff, because I am one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. It's
It's just so rude.
I once heard that someone always, if they're hiring, they'd always meet for like a lunch or dinner, and they'd see how the potential hire reacts with staff. So I think that's a really good one.
Really good benchmark, isn't it? To check someone out.
I think it's
manners, make
manners.
you a man.
Honestly.
100%.
And it's not difficult to be nice.
No, it's free. So what's going on?
And they're doing you a favour.
Yeah.
So you don't know who they are, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Susie, some of your pet hates?
Restaurant pet hates when they don't put salt and pepper on the table.
Agree.
I have to ask for
one.
it, and I know that everyone's got a different. I also think it's fine when my friends come for dinner. I'm like, right, guys, ketchup, mayo, like sweet chili sauce, salt and pepper, because everyone has a different palate. It doesn't mean your food is underseasoned. Everyone just has a different palate, and you want people to enjoy their food. And then in terms of at home recipe books, I hate when they say 1 teaspoon of a dry spice. I would always times that by 4. I think it doesn't get you anywhere. So I'm just like, get it in. It doesn't get you anywhere. You need to maximise on flavour. And recipe books that don't have photographs of the end of the food.
My gosh. And sometimes
what
they'll have some pictures on some recipes.
They're all at the end.
But then you
not
have to fiddle around
always.
to find it.
Yeah. Annoying. Agree
really annoying.
with that.
And unfair on the general public.
Yeah, agree with that one. One other for me in restaurants is when they clear your plate but not everyone's finished.
I know. I think that's a British thing though.
I'm like, sorry, I may have finished, but I'm pretending that I haven't because I don't want the other person to rush.
So you're fiddling with the last bit.
I'm kind of like fiddling with it, and they're like, oh, is that done? And I'm like, it looks it, and I'm with you. It is done, but no, for the purpose of the other person, it's not done yet.
I think
Georgia, you've got wonderful manners.
Thank you.
You really have.
Thank you. But it's so, I just hate it when the other person then feels like they have to rush. Like, no, take your time. I think it's because my mum is the slowest eater
So you're used
on
to it.
the planet. And I'm like, Mum, stop talking, please keep going.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is going to be...
I live with one of those.
we
so
love that.
slow.
Is he slow?
Politely slow, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
my God, I'm a bit of a wolf with food. It comes and da-da-da. And then I'm looking and thinking, come on, hurry up.
I know.
He is quite slow, actually, yeah.
Very
No, you're
polite.
right.
I mean, it's lovely to be slow. I wish I was.
No, it's good for digestion and all that. But I
I mean, you're supposed to chew your food so many times, aren't you?
Oh, I struggle with that. I'm
I think
sorry.
it's very difficult.
I've never thought about that once in my whole
Yep.
life when I'm eating.
No.
How many times can you chew it?
I'm not on board with that. I am trying to be more kind of conscious when I eat. I'm terrible at eating with my screen. I don't like eating alone, I've realised. That's one thing I've established, is I really don't like eating alone. So if I'm on my own, I will have my laptop out and I'm working, or I'm on my phone or something like that. And I think it's really important just to be like there with your food, enjoying it, and not distracted.
But it's difficult, that, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, when I'm on my own, I never sit down to eat.
Yeah,
I mean, I do it on the go, and I drop a bit on the floor and I get,
But isn't there something quite nice? Like, I've got a theory that things taste better out the pan.
Always.
Like, you play, like,
I know.
I'm there trying, like,
But
oh,
seconds,
amazing.
For me, my second helping
Seconds.
is always my first helping is irrelevant, to be honest. And I'm always. We had people for lunch the other day, and we had some people who came over, and everyone had seconds. And Janie said, "I'm not used to my friends who have seconds."
That was such a compliment.
All
actually.
my mates
and they're
have
all
seconds.
women.
All the
And they all
time,
had
yeah.
seconds.
I love that.
No, we're the queens of seconds.
I love that. I always kind of give myself slightly less because I know I'm going to go back for more. I think seconds is probably the best part.
Yeah.
Or like if I come back, I don't want seconds, but I just want a little spoon.
Yeah.
And that little spoon is definitely nicer
I'm
than
always
the
the one who
rest.
puts food into the Tupperware at the end. I'm like, that's my job.
So do you love the hotel buffet then?
Because you can keep going back. The hotel breakfasts, I think that's always
I find it a bit intimidating. I think
there's a lot. Yeah.
It's overwhelming. Agree.
I don't want so much choice, and also I don't want the temptation to keep going back.
I know.
Because although I adore food, I never want to eat too much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep the same pair of jeans if I can all my life, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So those hotel lunches, breakfast, lunches, dinners, I mean, wow.
Have you guys seen those videos on Instagram where it's like come with me, what I eat in a day at an all-inclusive hotel? Have you seen those?
Oh God, I went to an all-inclusive Chinese
Horrible.
buffet like 3 years ago. It was it was bad. I had like 4 helpings.
And you're like,
They are addictive.
Yeah,
you think £10, this is cheap. Like I need to fill up the day.
I know, literally. But you're like, just because it's free or seems free at the time doesn't mean you have to eat like 7 different courses of it.
Free stuff.
I know. So what would you guys say is your favourite meal of the day?
Dinner.
100%, yeah. Because we're busy in the day. Breakfast and lunch is always fast on the go, I think. And dinner, I love it. And also I like to end my day on a high. Yeah. So I think it's better to eat earlier. I'm sure that's my New Year's resolution. But I like
I try and eat earlier
leaving my dinner right to the end.
Before 8 if I can.
I was about to say, what are your timings? So when are you guys having breakfast roughly, lunch roughly, and dinner roughly? And is it the same roughly each day?
I don't do breakfast. I do brunch more, like I was 11ish. And I'll have probably toast. We had chickens at home.
Oh my God, dream.
And we had too many eggs, so I tend to have eggs most days. And I do love eggs, but I sort of have 11, 12 o'clock, a couple of eggs and a piece of toast.
Yeah.
Really plain, boring. Bit of an avocado sometimes if it's lying around. And then I won't really eat till dinner, which is 7:30.
Nice.
And 1 course, but quite a lot of it.
Nice.
But obviously when I'm out and about in London seeing friends, I have lunch as well. But then I might skip breakfast.
Yeah, okay. And are you a big snacker or not really?
Picker, I'd say.
Yeah.
I will pick a bit.
Only when you're
I love a crisp with a drink.
That's my mum.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
love
mum.
Who doesn't like crisps?
And I actually do have
slap.
crisps. I do keep half a bag sometimes that's left in the fridge because I learned years ago that it keeps them crisp.
I saw a video of this.
I was told, right?
Apparently Nigella Lawson does it, so...
So I quickly researched it because someone said, what are you doing that for? It's ridiculous. Don't they go soggy? So I thought, well, hold on, I will have a look at this to see if it's normal. So I Googled it and it came up with Nigella Lawson does it. So sorry, Nigella, if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But that's what I read about you.
Okay.
So I thought it was okay. I mean, what Nigella does is pretty okay.
It is pretty okay. Yeah. And does it work? Are they crispier in the fridge?
They are. Susie's confirmed it.
Yeah, they're delicious.
Yeah,
best crisps I've had.
I love that. So are you a chocolate in the fridge person?
It depends. I've got a few bars in the back storage, a few bars in the fridge. There's like chocolate lying around everywhere. I have to hide things for myself.
Yeah. I think for me it depends on the chocolate. For example, like Lint's quite thin, so it snaps quite well. So I think that probably does go.
That's a fridge thing.
That's a fridge thing.
And Snickers in the freezer. I love the chew and curly whirlies I've got in the freezer as well.
I'm not a Snickers or a Curly Whirly kind of person, but the Who chocolate.
Yeah.
That's got to be not in the fridge because the middle bit's got to be soft.
Yeah, no, it's a thick.
So it's So what about when's breakfast? When's lunch? When's dinner for you?
Oh my God, embarrassingly, I wake up and the first thing I want, I think I'm completely addicted to sugar, is a bit of chocolate. So I normally go and have a bit of that. And I'm hot on fruit. I mean, I probably eat 10 portions of fruit a day, which is not great. I'm not recommending this to anyone at home, by the way.
Who's your dentist? No,
I know, Dr. Dylan. He said I'm the worst patient he's ever had.
Your teeth look pretty good to me.
Oh well, he goes, Susie, you've been on Invisalign for 2 years. It's a long time. Anyway, Dr. Dylan, he's the best and massive babe. So that's the morning. Yeah, tends to be fruit, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then for lunch, I actually do have proper lunch every day because I just can't wait. Yeah. And in the summer, it's often just a salad with a bit of protein and veg, that type of thing. And in the winter, I get one of those Yorkshire Provender soups, bag of spinach, yogurt, dollop of harissa. That does me well.
That sounds a dream.
It's delicious. Afternoon, I'm definitely a snacker. I'm a carrots and hummus girl. Olives. If I'm cooking, I'm often picking, for work, that kind of type thing. And then dinner is, I go to town. Yeah. Loads of veg, protein, little roast potatoes, and that's finished off with a Slero, bars of chocolate and more fruit.
I love this. I love it. I love it. So guys, what is next for Janie and Susie? Where is this going? Obviously, I mean, at the moment, it's just lovely, refreshing, fun. I love the videos so much. But what's next? Is there a next? Is there a plan?
That's a bit of a plan.
No, I think we're going with the flow. I mean,
we're flowing. Yeah, we're attempting to write a book.
This is
that's
exciting.
potentially in the pipeline.
With a picture per recipe.
100%.
Absolutely.
Always unsalted. Always salted butter.
Yeah, loads of spices.
And we'll
Loads
probably
of
talk about
spices.
all the things like that, saying, of course, if you want to use unsalted, do, but quick fix or
Why
you
waste
don't, have
your
to,
money?
you don't have to go out and buy unsalted.
Yeah. But are you guys recipe followers? Just generally?
Guideline for me.
Yeah. Like read it, look at the pictures, inspired. Then
Well, actually, I'll go to the method. Probably, I probably won't. I'll think I want to do something, and I look at the method. I don't really look at the quantity of the ingredients because that's. I just work that one out in my head myself.
Yeah, and you're a bit of a like try, test.
I just see if the method's different to how I might do it, or a cleverer way.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. You don't do recipes at all. I mean, she makes her own stuff up all the time.
Yeah, it's not really my thing.
Your
Which is
recipes don't
ironic.
really,
But like, I know I love the books. I love reading them, getting a bit of a source of inspiration, and then they tend to stay firmly shut.
Yeah, that's the
And
thing.
for me, it's like, what have I got in the fridge? And I just need something sweet, something salty, something vinegary, and something to tie it together. And I tend to just like whack stuff together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works, and sometimes it tastes like ass.
I love that. This is why I can't bake. So I do believe you're either a chef or a baker.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Not for me.
I'm a chef, not a baker.
Yeah.
and you're the
hate
same.
baking.
I always try and do my little twist on a baked good. Comes out like shit. Like I've made muffins that taste like wet sand.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, this is, and I get really annoyed.
Well, I get bored with the recipe. I think, oh my god, I've got to read
Well,
this.
it's because it's more of a science, isn't it?
Yeah.
Baking.
And you have to be patient,
You've got
I
to
think.
have your. Although I don't know, I sort of like when we do our chocolate torte.
I have about 5 desserts that I do, and I put them on my client menus. I tell them my clients that they're what everyone else wants, so they don't think they don't
That's
ask
like
for any
these
more.
are top
These are the ones.
I
And
mean, I
that's
think
it.
you can go wrong slightly with the cake, but I think it depends what sort of cake it is.
Oh yeah, I've buggered it up so many times.
Like I love a sweet treat, but a non-baked sweet treat. Like I like making like the stuffed dates, or like my own little PB&J cups, or like my. Oh, you know what I love doing as well is like my own rice cakes. Obviously, I buy the rice cakes, but then I dip them in different things and like add different toppings and put them in the fridge, and that's
fun.
really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a girls' night out.
Yeah, like DIY rice
melted
cakes.
chocolate and things.
Melted chocolate with some peanut butter, some like freeze-dried raspberries, coconut flake, whatever.
try this.
It's really fun, really fun. But baking not for me.
Yeah,
not for me.
agreed.
So we have a final question that we always end with, which is, what would your last meal be? Starter, main course, dessert, and you can add a drink in there as well.
First of all, this is not on death row, is it? Because I wouldn't be hungry. I was fascinated by that question.
I know, no, it doesn't have to be death row.
I wouldn't have an appetite, but so
so
it's gonna
scared.
be somewhere nice. My
She has
last
thought
meal.
about this question a lot.
Okay, I love this.
My last meal would be starter would probably be caviar with all the trimmings
Lovely.
to spread it out a bit. I like all the traditional bits with it.
Yeah.
Melba toast, probably, not thick. Something crunchy. Then I would have. I'm having a main course and a pudding as well.
Yes.
Okay, main course would probably be a roast chicken with crispy skin, juicy part of the chicken. I prefer the thigh, with wonderful Mediterranean vegetables.
Lovely.
Not fussy about having potatoes, but if I was going to have them, I would probably have those lovely waxy ones.
Yeah.
Lots of juicy veg, as I say, Mediterranean with the olive oil touch. Bit of a salsa with it, or pesto.
Oh yeah, nice.
And I'd love a green salad as well, just lightly dressed leaves.
Yeah.
And then I'm not really a pudding person,
Okay.
so I'd rather go cheese with sort of dates and things like that.
Oh yeah.
What's that stuff called? I always call it membrane, but it's not.
Oh, membrio,
Yeah, membrio.
Oh, what's that?
It's like quince
That
jam.
is a quince
It
jam, yeah.
wobbles. It's not, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And with the cheese, I would probably have a pudding. No, not a pudding wine. I wouldn't have a pudding wine. No, I'd continue on some wine that I've had with the main course.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have bread. I have crispy biscuits.
Lovely. Are you red wine, white wine?
White
White wine with chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. I love that.
Yeah. So
Susie,
it's quite boring, but
no, it was quite. I like the detail.
It's good. She's thought about this a lot. I've actually just had to come up with this in the last minute. I'd start with a Negroni. I love them. For me, that's like my starter. And then I move on to vodka or gin and tonics to keep it a bit light throughout the meal.
Yeah.
I think we're talking food here, Sue.
I'm not telling you. That's my starter bit.
Yeah.
I like to be a bit pissed before I eat if it's my last meal because it makes it more exciting.
Okay,
and I want to gorge.
Yeah.
Get hungrier.
Literally. For my starter, I'd have the crispy calamari from Wagamama's.
Oh, lovely.
The dip.
Nice.
I love that dip. I always phone up the delivery people and ask for extra.
Nice.
For my main, I think I would have either seafood pasta or I think just steak with loads of chips and a rocket and parmesan salad. I love that, and probably some like roasted veg in there too.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, I think I'd keep it, based on the fact that there was going to be a lot of it. And then for pudding, I would have chocolate torte with like a salted caramel and a creme fraiche, followed by a bar of Lindt dark chocolate, 70%, and maybe a peppermint tea if I felt like it.
Or peppermint tea, just to finish it all off, just to digest.
Since she's opted for so many drinks with hers,
Yes.
and I didn't.
Yes.
I will have vodka shots with my caviar.
Oh my god! Love this! Amazing. Yeah. Do you have anything with the vodka shot just to help it go down at all, or is it very much straight up?
Straight.
Also like good quality.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it. I used to go to a restaurant in London, it probably doesn't exist anymore, where they did a lot of vodka shots with the caviar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ice cold at the freezer.
Absolutely. Very easy to drink.
That sounds great. We should go there.
It's like any drink when it's ice cold is much better.
Yeah, it goes down better than I love
slips down a treat.
I love that. Janie and Susie, thank you so much for coming to the
thanks
kitchen.
for
I've
having us.
loved this. It's been
We've
so
loved
fun.
It. Thank you so much. Really lovely. Thank you, Georgia.